Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Cinemacast, Season 2. I'm your host, Mike C. If you have to do so, hit that like and subscribe button down below if you guys enjoy our podcast and other content on here as well. Links for everything else, our streaming platforms, our social medias, and our Discord. Links for everything is down below in the description section. If you guys want to come follow us and check us out, feel free to do so. Yes, it is 2024, but we're taking a look at a movie today from 2011. This is another gem that I come across. Now, 2024, I'm coming across a lot of good movies. I've already reviewed 3 really good ones that have come out, and one that came out over 30 years ago. If you guys have yet to see that one, go check that one. That was episode 3 of season 2. Today's episode is on a movie called The Tunnel. This is another movie that I've come across yet again on the app, the movie streaming app Shudder. Shudder is a horror movie based app. They got some horror TV shows on there, some podcasts, horror movies. Not everything is on there, but for $6.99 a month, you guys will catch some of the best horror movies out there. Some hidden gems, including old movie critic reviewer Joe Bob Briggs. If you remember Joe Bob Briggs from back in the 90s when he hosted Saturday Night Monster Vision on TNT, yes, he is on there, The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob. You can check that out on Shudder. Guys, $6.99 a month. If you guys want to check this stuff out, sign up for Shudder. Go check it out. This movie, The Tunnel, wow. I gotta say, for a movie like this, let me tell you guys something. This movie, for being 2007, even though there's an average score of 7 out of 10 based on 7 reviews, this movie still holds a 100% rating on RottenTomatoes.com. That's impressive. A movie that is 13 years old. Yeah, almost 13 years old, 2011. Yeah. May 19th marks 13 years. 13-year-old movie. Still has a 100% rating. That's how good this movie is. This is an Australian found footage monster horror film directed by Carlo Ledesma, I guess. Yeah, this is his feature-length directorial debut. Now, found footage movies, and I've talked about them in the last couple episodes, it's a very interesting subgenre in horror. And even though people will say movies like, and I've already talked about it, and I'll talk about it here again, in case you missed the last 2 episodes, the Blair Witch Project. People will sit there and say that the Blair Witch Project was the first of its kind for the found footage subgenre. It's not. Movies like The Last Broadcast, Ghost Watch, and several others before them, they're all found footage. And they all have the very distinctive image of what they were trying to do. The Blair Witch Project brought it more into the mainstream theatrically. So if people never watched a movie like The Last Broadcast or Ghost Watch or anything other that nature that come out in like maybe the 80s or the 90s especially, even a movie like Cannibal Holocaust, which came out in the 80s, which was very, very controversial for its time, and I'm pretty sure I'll talk about that here on the program. But movies like that, they've had an impact, but not as a big impact as big as the Blair Witch Project when it hit mainstream, went directly to theaters, and people believed that there was a Blair Witch in Burkittsville, Maryland. Well, they call it Burkittsville, but Burkittsville is not an actual town. It's Burtonsville or something else. I forgot what it was named, but yeah, people would flock out to the woods out there to try to find a Blair Witch, which doesn't exist. Only to be turned around by police out there, and police told them, stay the fuck out of the woods or you will be arrested and charged. That's how much of an impact a movie like that had. Whereas a movie like this, yes, this is a found footage movie, and they are all done in a style which is documentary based, which makes it so believable. And that's what I love about movies like this. They are so believable, even though I know I'm watching a work of fiction, but it's just so entertaining. It's so good. And movies like this, I feel, are the true movies with this style, are the true movies that can really terrify somebody. Movies such as like Paranormal Activity. Yes, there's like 6 or 7 of them. They kind of overdid themselves with that movie, but even just the first one had such an impact on people, where it's like, oh my god, like, yeah, and there are such things as paranormal happenings. There's paranormal phenomenon anywhere. People do suffer from this. People move in the houses. There's motel. There's buildings all over the fucking world. There are places that are haunted. Maybe not as violent as it is depicted in movies like Paranormal Activity, but it does happen. So that's what makes that movie so have such a heavy impact on culture. You know, like when people look at movies like Paranormal Activity, like, holy shit, yes, I know this actually happens. Well, do you experience somebody getting dragged down the stairs violently or getting flung in the room? I've never heard of cases like that, but spirits do exist. When we die, do we go cross over to the other side, or do we stay in the same plane and just haunt our fucking loved ones and people that we hate for the rest of our lives or rest of their lives or whatever? There is so many questions to it. I am a firm believer of it. I have had my experiences with that kind of stuff. So yeah, like something like Paranormal Activity, I could definitely get with. But this movie here, it was filmed in Australia, and it's in a documentary-style horror story that is set in the underground network of the abandoned railway tunnels in Sydney, Australia, where a journalist and her crew discover an evil, flesh-eating creature lurking within the tunnels. Now, I guess you could probably say it's not trying to be, because this movie came out, well, maybe so, I don't know, because if you remember back in 2007 or 2008, I think it was 2008 when Cloverfield came out. Remember Cloverfield, guys? Took place in New York. It was like New Year's Eve or something like that, and then you got this big ass creature and all these little mini creatures that are popping out, attacking the city and shit. It was an interesting movie. It was fiction, but it was very interesting, and it was even, I think, just the way the camera kept, just the way the footage was shot. It was said that people were feeling nauseated because of the way the camera work was done. People had to leave the theaters. They were feeling sick. They were throwing up or something. I can't remember what it was, but it's a found footage movie. It's done with a camera that's on the run. Your camera's going to be all over the place. Yeah. So it's something that you got to keep up with. But yeah, there are people who suffer from epilepsy and shit like that. So yeah, it's something that it's not for the faint of heart, But yeah, the tunnel is framed as a documentary, occasionally cutting away to interviews with Natasha and Steven recorded after the events. Now, what's interesting about this movie is, yes, there are segments where there's interviews with the crew that you see going down into the tunnel, filming this stuff. It's the movie plays off as a documentary. They're trying to record a story for this news station, or this I think she's like an investigative journalist or something. I can't remember. It's been a while. But they're trying to get the lowdown on what's going on in under the city's railways. Like what's going on. They were supposed to. It has something to do with the homeless. We'll get into that in a little bit. But what is interesting about this movie is that 2 people in this movie, they make it out alive. It's already set in stone that these 2 people that are venturing down into this tunnel and all this shit starts happening to them. They're already alive. They're still alive. because you got these interviews with these two people. It's not like they're doing them beforehand. They're doing them afterhand, like they're recollecting. Recollecting. I'm fumbling my words today, guys. They're recollecting the events of what happened. So you know that, okay, these two people, they're not going to die, but they do go down with a couple other people, and stuff happens. So in the midst of the drought and water shortages, the government of New South Wales announced plans to recycle millions of liters of water trapped in the network of abandoned train tunnels beneath the heart of Sydney. However, the government suddenly goes cold on the plan, and it does not tell the public why. There is also talk of homeless people who use the tunnel as shelter going missing. This and the silence from the ministers leads a journalist, Natasha, to begin an investigation into the government cover-up. She and her crew consist of Peter, Stephen, and Tangles, decide to investigate the story and plan to enter the tunnels themselves. After being refused entry by the security guard, they find an alternate route and make their way inside. They proceed to explore the tunnels and locate various abandoned homeless squats and sectors that were used as air raid shelters in the 1940s. So that's one thing that kind of gets me, because I can't remember Australia being an integral part of World War II, which it was said in there. Like, okay, they come across a huge underground lake, and while filming, Tangles hears strange noises through his audio headphones. And then later, the group heads to a room where the World War II air raid bell is. So, I don't remember in history Australia being an integral part of World War II. It might have been. I can't remember. My history is a little bit fuzzy from high school. But, yeah, it's a little bit of thing there. It was like, okay, it's an air raid bell from World War II. What's it doing down here in the tunnel? So, you got this group. All right, they're investigating the story as to why, okay, they were going to recycle water. How do you recycle water? That's what I'm trying to get at. How do you recycle water? You can filter water, clean it, you can filter it. How do you recycle water? I don't think I've ever heard of that terminology of somebody talking about recycling water. I heard about it being filtered. Maybe they were talking about filtering it. Maybe that's their terminology for filter. We don't filter, we recycle. Okay, whatever. But then they abandon it. They were talking about flushing out the railway, the underground tunnels. But then they decide they're not going to do so. Like, why? What are they trying to cover up? But then, like it said, she hears that there are homeless people taking refuge in these tunnels. So her and her crew, they go deep into these tunnels. They have to sneak down there. The police aren't going to let them down there. The government's not going to let them down there. But they do find a way in there. One of the security guards, they kind of bribe with money. And they say, okay, you got 1 or 2 hours. Make it count. I'll be back here, or I'll come find you, that kind of thing. So they've managed to make their way in. And there were also a couple subway tunnels that catch them. But you do see the angles of those, like the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie and such. But yeah, they managed to get down there, and they're trying to look down these tunnels to see, okay, homeless people live down here, but where are the homeless? What's happened to these homeless people? So after they get to the room with the air raid bell, something starts happening to their equipment, their audio equipment. So their audio guy, he tries to get a better signal, of the bell. He disappears into another room, but then he disappears. They don't know where he goes to. So throughout the rest of the movie, you got these 2 or 3 guys, these 3 guys, they're looking for their friend who disappeared. And they also go deeper and deeper into these tunnels, and they discover something very sinister lurks down there. And it's very creepy. And you're like on the edge of your seat. It's like, what the hell is it? What lives down there? You're expecting something out of, like, I don't know, Cloverfield or something. But it's like, this is something that's been living down there, and you capture it on footage, So the crew, they venture through the tunnel, they try to find a way out, and then they hear a person call to them, and they come upon a security officer who, who had earlier refused them entry. So all the while this is going on, right? They're trying to find their friend, they're trying to find a way out of there. The creature emerges to start the hunt is on. This creature's chasing after them. They're going down tunnels, they're taking detours, they're hiding in rooms, they're trying to hide away from it to keep safe. But basically the rest of the movie is just this crew trying to find their way out of this tunnel. They got enough footage, they know what they know there's something's down there, they know why the government decided we're not going to flush the water through the system. They know what the government is holding back from, what they're trying to cover up. So you got this crew, they try to make their way out with their footage, and they manage to do so. They really do. I'm not going to go too much into detail with what leads up to the end, but it's a very terrifying latter half of the movie, where they're trying their damnedest to get the hell out of there, but they get out of there. You already know they get out of there because, like I said, throughout the movie, you got two of these characters that are doing interviews. They're doing interviews. They're recollecting on the events. They're talking about what happened. They're talking about this part, that part. And then you're going back and forth with them and the footage, and they eventually make it out of the tunnel. Now, the epilogue, it is stated that the coroner found that one of the characters, Peter, who died from extensive internal bleeding. Natasha resigned from the underground, she resigned after the underground shoot, no longer working as a journalist. Steven still works as a cameraman. Tangles, who disappeared in the tunnel, he was the audio tech. His whereabouts remain unknown, and his family is still searching for answers. The police investigation was closed due to contradictory evidence, which basically means this crew went into these tunnels, illegally. They were snuck down there. They weren't supposed to be down there. So they figure, okay, well, they don't have any evidence of anything that happened. They just pretty much trashed the evidence right there. Even though it's out there, you see this footage, you see this movie, but it's like, they don't go off of that as grounds, for evidence, because it's like they're not supposed to be down in the tunnel. But, the whole overall tone of the movie, being shot in a documentary the way it is, it was done beautifully. It was done perfect. It felt like you were watching an actual documentary movie. That's how much of an impact this movie has when you're watching it. Now, like distribution-wise, I'll talk about the distribution a little bit here. So the film has been noted for its modes of release and distribution, in addition to conventional modes of release, including a limited Australian theatrical release, screenings on Showtime Australia, and Australia and New Zealand DVD release through Paramount Pictures, Holy shit, The Tunnel was the first Australian movie to be distributed and promoted legally through the BitTorrent internet downloading platform, a release strategy which exposed the film to tens of millions of people for free. So this was, wow. So if you remember back in the day where people were downloading, bootlegging movies illegally online using BitTorrent technology, you were downloading music, games, and movies through BitTorrent, torrent files. This was the first Australian movie to be distributed and promoted legally through that. So it was like, we are promoting this movie. We want people to see this movie. If you don't want to come to theaters and check it out, don't worry. Download it through BitTorrent. Download this movie, basically. They are promoting it. They're telling people, download this movie. You have our permission. Download it, basically. We want people to see it. And it was exposed to tens of millions of people for free. I find that very interesting that they did something like that. So yeah, as I even said, like, this movie has 100% approval rating on it for being what it is. Not only like being promoted and being proudly promoted and say, hey, download this movie through BitTorrent. We want you to see this movie. Richard Coopers, whatever his fucking name is, from Variety, gave it a positive review, writing, making the most of super atmospheric locations never previously seen in an Aussie feature. Debut Helmer Carlo, we'll leave it at that, is well served as a convincing quartet of thieves. So this movie, it's like, for what it is, it's a masterpiece of its kind. If if the Blair Witch Project brought this subgenre of found footage movies to the mainstream, this movie kind of perfected it in a way for Australia. In 2014, popular horror movie website Bloody Disgusting listed the film as one of the 13 scariest mockumentaries ever made. In 2015, BuzzFeed listed the film as one of 13 Australian horror movies that will scare the shit out of you. That's amazing. And this is all down in Australia. And Australia, they usually ban a lot of different things. Like, they usually ban certain movies, they ban certain music, video games, books, and such. It's very rare to go to, like another country, like, even continent like Australia, to find something like this as a gem. But yeah, they did it very well. It's almost like, what are we doing over here in Hollywood in the US? Like, we're making movies that are like hit and miss, or hit or miss, it's either or, both ways. It's like a majority of movies today are almost like shitstorms in a sense. You may find that one gem in the turd pile that's worthy of seeing, but then you come across something from another continent, basically, and it's like, this movie was listed as one of the 13 top Australian movies that will scare the living shit out of you. Especially if it's a mockumentary, that has a strong message right there. And of course, the awards that this movie got prior to its completion: The Tunnel earned an award and a nomination for its innovative online campaign. The Tunnel has continued to receive award recognition in the festival circuit, such as, like the 17th annual AIMIA Awards, that's a mouthful, a Night of Horror International Film Festival, and Screamfest Horror Film Festival, and more. Then in 2012, it was announced that there was a sequel to it planned called The Tunnel Dead End, and circles around a sibling who searches for her brother who gets lost in the tunnels, but there was no other updates on the sequel that have ever been announced since. So what do I think about this movie? It's definitely a great watch, guys. If you got the app Shudder, like I've been promoting, check it out. This is a great find. It's very, I won't say it's disturbing, but it's very gripping. It's very atmospheric for what it is. Mockumentary films like this, there needs to be more out there. I'm not just talking about a movie that focuses on like video feeds online, like Zoom calls and stuff like that. I'm talking about like actual movies like this, where it's something that's atmospheric and it also claustrophobic in a sense, in certain areas, certain movies that are claustrophobic, something that really grips you into this movie and it scares the living shit out of you in every which way form, form or shape, So this movie, The Tunnel, I give this movie a perfect 10 out of 10. If you guys have yet to see it, check this movie out. And that's it for today's episode of Cinemacast, guys. We thank you for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button down below. And now, before we end, let's talk about today's sponsor, W Energy Blend Drink. If you guys are into these type of energy drinks, this one is sponsored and promoted by gamers and streamers. Go to w.gg today. Check out their products. They are powder products. It's an energy blend. More than 10 different flavors under their belt. If you guys want to purchase any of their products online, be sure to use promo code ARROW, WAN. Save 10% on those products today. Also, if you guys want to check out our merch store, link for that is down below. If you want to make any purchase on the merch store, use promo code ARROWENT. You guys will save 15% on that. And that is it for today's episode of Cinemacast, guys. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, We'll catch you right back here at the cinema.